Why law requires restraint? Now, when most people hear the word law, they think about government or police or the court system. They think about something outside of them. But by the time a man or woman reaches retirement age, they've learned something much deeper. They are laws built into life itself. You don't have to vote on them. You don't have to argue about them. They simply operate. And if you ignore them long enough, they collect a cost. That's something a lot of retirees quietly wrestle with. You know, you look back and see where you push too hard, for instance. You see the long hours, the skip sleep, working graveyard shifting sometimes, the stress you carried because you thought you had to carry it on, you had to push yourself to that. You see the years of grabbing whatever was quick to eat or drink because there wasn't time to think about it. Now the body feels different. Joints speak up. Blood pressure doesn't cooperate like it once did, it's trying to get higher, or in some cases lower. Energy comes and goes. You're not broken, but you're aware, and awareness can feel uncomfortable. In early episodes, we talked about thought as cause and cause and effect, and about law as something steady and dependable. And we discussed in earlier episodes Judge Troward. And Judge Troward spoke about law not as punishment, but as order. Now, if we mentioned before, if you plant corn, you get corn. If you plant weeds, you get weeds. The soil does not argue with you. It simply responds to what is placed into it. The same is true of the body and the mind. It is common sense. Look at nature. Law requires restraint because restraint is how we align ourselves with order. Without restraint, we push past limits. Now, we override signals. We keep going when we should just pause. Most of us did that for years and years. It was a malicious, it was just habit, and provide for the family at all costs. Meet the deadline, keep going, keep moving. But now in this second act of life, we have the time to kind of reflect. Restraint becomes wisdom instead of weakness. Older generations, they understood this better than we do. They did not have wearable device tracking every heartbeat. They simply knew that if a man worked the field too hard without rest, he would not last very long. He would be wore out. They knew that if you drain yourself season after season, something would give, your body would give in, something, illness or something. So they built, they put in the Sabbath. Now that built in winter, they respected cycles. We have to relearn that sort of thing, get into the groove of that. For example, sleep is not optional repair time. It's the law. The body repairs at night, whether you cooperate with it or not. If you short it long enough, the bill arrives. Fasting done very wisely is not punishment. It is reset. It allows systems to clear and recalibrate. Sunlight is not decoration. It is the signals that are given to the body and to the internal clock. Minerals like magnesium and potassium are not trends. They are electrical conductors inside your body. Without them, the system stutters. None of that is dramatic at first. It is simple law, though. A law does not respond well to excess. One of the quiet problems retirees, I think, face is overcorrecting. After years of neglect, a person sometimes swings too far to the order direction. They read something online and try to overhaul everything at once. They flush the system with too much water, thinking much more is better, not realizing that they may also be flushing out the needed minerals. They take 10 supplements instead of fixing sleep first, starting with a foundation. They chase the latest solution without steady observation. That's not restraint, that's just reacting. Restraint means listening before acting, observing. It means making smaller, consistent corrections. It means drinking cleaner water, for example, but not drowning yourself in it. It means adding electrolytes thoughtfully instead of assuming plain bottled water is enough. It means eating real food and giving digestion time to rest. It means stepping into the sunlight in the morning rather than staring at a computer screen or a TV screen. These are not grand gestures. They are steady alignments. The body keeps record over decades. It does not forget. It is a good record keeper, but it also responds when treated with respect. The same law applies inwardly. If a man rehearses resentment for years and years, it shapes him. If a woman rehearses fear daily, it takes toll. Not because of a magic mystical thing, but because repetition builds pathways. Now that is law. Thought repeated becomes habit. Habit repeated becomes character. Character shapes outcome. Restraint in thinking is just as important as restraint in eating. It's so important. You know, these things are all true, and if it wasn't the case, you would not see advertisements on TV. You can manifest a lot of things. You manifest good character. You know, it goes back to the old saying, practice makes perfect. You know, input trash, output trash. You know, if you're always negative, you're going to have a negative character. So that's what the basic fundamentals. When you walk into a room, there's not hardly anything that you can look at at all that was not manifested in the mind. You're the project. You're making the blueprint in your mind, and you need to keep designing that blueprint and keep working on that structure. You don't want to design something poorly. We don't want to build. If you look at a chair, it was manifested in someone's mind. It is the blueprint. If you want to make a good chair, you manifest it. You want to make a good building, you manifest it. You draw it out. You make a good structure according to order. It's the same with your life today. You can't just expect to go to somebody and they do it for you. Now, there's a lot of good things in health, but you have to take responsibility. You know, you don't have to argue with every darn headline. You do not have to absorb every anxious conversation. You know, there's a cutoff point. Mental environment, it really matters. Just like soil conditions matter for your crop, the inner climate matters for a life. If you allow constant agitation inside, the body will eventually show it. Retirement is not decline. It is a time to accumulate all that we've learned and redistribute it and you cultivate it with wisdom. It is a transition. You are no longer sprinting to build something. You are tending what you have built. That requires steadiness. You become more like I said, a project manager of your own body and mind. You assess, you adjust, you do not panic. You respect the blueprint. Restraint is not about restriction for its own particular sake. It's about proportion. You eat enough, but not endlessly. You work, but you rest. You move your body, but you do not punish it. You speak truth, but without unnecessary harshness. You trust in faith in God. You get in touch with your Creator in your own way, but you do not drift into passivity. Law works quietly in the background of all of it. Some people resist the word restraint because it feels limiting, caged. But without restraint, freedom falls to pieces. A river without banks becomes a flood area. Banks, dams, they do not imprison the river, they give it direction. In the same way, boundaries in your daily habits create stability in our lives. Stability creates strength. That matters more now than ever before. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your friends, associates, neighbors, even your grown children are watching how you age. They may not tell you they're watching. You're an example to them. They are watching whether you panic at every ache or whether you respond with calm adjustment. They are watching whether you treat your body like an enemy or like a partner. You are still very much needed in this world, in this society. Not for speed, for steadiness. If something feels off, step back and observe before intervening. Ask simple questions. Am I sleeping well, for example? Am I drinking balanced water or just flushing myself out? Small little corrections. Now, done consistently, align you with the law far better than a dramatic emotional drama or a dramatic boom overhaul. Law does not rush. It does not shout. It responds to pattern. And pattern can change. You're not stuck with yesterday's habits, but the shift will require restraint. It will require saying no to certain impulses. It will require patience. That is not weakness. That is maturity and making the right adjustments in your life. We live in a time that encourages extremes, but most of life improves through proportion. A little more rest, a little less hurry, a little more mineral-rich food, a little less empty drink, a little more gratitude, a little less agitation. That's how law becomes friend instead of enemy. You don't need to master every single thing. You simply need to cooperate with the order at hand. When you do, the body often responds better than you ever expected. The mind steadies, the spirit settles, not perfectly, but noticeably. Now that is enough to begin. I don't have all this figured out, I promise you, but I'm still working on it myself. So let's keep moving forward on this journey together. And thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it.